Fair warning, this video is going to present an uncomfortable truth. If you are not Your life sucks because you want it to. If you are not ready to hear something like that, I highly recommend you click off this video and go watch something less serious. For a decent portion of my life, especially transitioning from being a teenager to an adult, my life sucked. I'm sleeping in because, quite frankly, I don't want to be awake. When I am awake, I'm struggling to focus, I'm anxious, I'm giving into a lot of bad habits I've struggled with. When I do start to get my shit together and make progress on something, it's like all of a sudden I get rubber banded back to square one, further cementing this idea that like, oh, no matter what I try and do, everything sucks. I can't do it. Meanwhile, I'm looking at other people I know, either in real life or via the internet, and it seems like they just can't stop winning. They have everything figured out. And even when things are tough, you can't tell on their face. You can't tell it in the way they talk. They're always happy. They're always joyful. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Because that's not normal, at least in the modern day. In the modern day, it's normal to be clouded with this mental anguish. There's always something you want and can't have. There's always something holding you back from doing the things you want to do. And we know that if we don't get rid of this mental anguish and our problems, it's going to continue holding us back from better relationships, progressing towards our goals, escaping the vices we have, the bad habits, the addictions, and just being happy and joyful in day-to-day life. And I know what you're thinking, when is he going to address the title? Your life sucks because you want it to. Well, I know that you clicked on this video and thus you're part of one of two camps. Either you completely disagree with the title and you're looking to pick apart my explanations and my reasoning to provide justification for your currently held worldview, or part of you deep down knows that that's true. And you clicked on this video so I can elaborate and explain and most likely offer a solution to that issue. And look, I get it. It is a scary notion that the destruction in our life, the chaos in our life is self-inflicted. But look, I'm not saying that you don't also want to change because you clicked on this video. If you watch my videos before, you consume self-development content. You do want to change. You do want a better life. You do have desires that you're currently working towards. Yet it still feels like there's another part of you or the universe or luck or anything that is holding you back. It's like you have a rubber band tied around you, and if you move too close to your goals, too close to that ideal version of you, you get pulled right back to square one. Yeah, you want the good things. Yeah, you want the better life. That is the conscious mind. That is around 5 to 10% of your mind, of your brain. The other 90 to 95% of the mind is subconscious. It is impartial to what the conscious mind wants. It is already pre-programmed to move in a certain direction, and this is the part of you that wants your life to suck. For the longest time, I struggled with internet addiction, mainly watching a bunch of useless YouTube videos, or pornography, or playing Call of Duty Mobile on my phone. And there was something that always fascinated me about my bad habit, my addiction. Of course, it makes sense that when things were going wrong in life, when I was emotionally distraught, when I was in mental turmoil, I would turn to these vices for an escape. That makes sense. That's most people in life. But in the complete opposite circumstance, when things were going good, when I just had a big win, maybe a YouTube video did really well, maybe I just made more money, maybe I'm being more and more productive, I'm living more and more to my potential, the exact same thing happened. My mind would provide some kind of justification for me to go and do the bad thing despite all the positive momentum working in my favor. This is the subconscious mind realizing, oh, we're moving off track. We're not acting in our programming. Thus, it's trying to correct course by self-sabotage. This is the same reason why willpower long-term doesn't work. Sure, willpower is a great resource. You can strengthen willpower. You can grow that part of your brain, as Andrew Huberman's discussed in some of his podcasts. But at the end of the day, it is conscious energy. And it is energy that gets depleted. There are studies that prove this to be true. They took a group of people, put them in a room, and made them eat a radish while looking at sweets across the room. They weren't allowed to eat the sweets, they just had to eat this shitty radish. And then the other group got to eat the sweets, and then both groups did a willpower-based puzzle after that, and the group that had to resist, that had to use up willpower to not eat the sweet stuff, not eat the chocolate, did worse on the willpower-based puzzle. But that's not all, because 99% of people also have a fear of their true potential. Despite wanting all these great things, they're actually terrified of becoming the version of themselves that is required to achieve those things, because that means becoming uncomfortable, getting rid of its current vices, its current escapes, all the bad habits and addictions that, while they may be destructive to you, they do provide illusions of comfort in the current moment. It's also afraid of the inherent responsibility and problems that come from stepping into your higher self and achieving the things that you dream of. Because while you may be thinking of a nicer car, a nicer house, being happier, having better relationships, that unconscious part of your mind is thinking, yeah, but you're gonna have to work really hard and you can't smoke weed anymore. And sometimes we're gonna be tired and you're still gonna make us work even though we're tired. And consciously, we know that's silly. We know that delaying gratification is good for long-term rewards. The subconscious just isn't on the same page yet. If you're going to write code in a computer, you need administrative permissions in order to be allowed to do that thing. If you're going to rewrite code in your mind, you need the power of mindfulness or metacognition in order to bridge that gap between the conscious and subconscious. And the simplest and most effective way to do this is a specific type of guided meditations. That's why I have my free 5-day guided series in the description below, or my 30-day conscious catalyst that will take you from beginner to master within 30 days. But there's still another piece of the puzzle that is continuing to bring unnecessary suffering into my life, into your life, and that is that we haven't made the choice. You have desires, I have desires, but we never really chose to have these desires. They were just kind of imposed on us by programming growing up, by society, by the media we consume, or from a more divine spiritual influence, if you believe in that kind of thing. But those very desires that are promising pleasure down the road are causing us current suffering, making our lives suck a little more than if that wasn't the case. Therefore, we have a choice. We have a choice to either align ourselves and pursue that desire and willing to accept some discomfort in the current moment, our current state in life. And that doesn't mean you can't be happy or positive, but it means that we're working towards something that we don't currently have, or relinquishing the desire, letting go of it. To be honest with you, I don't align with the idea that we should relinquish all our desires and be monks meditating in mountains for years on end. But I also don't think orienting ourselves towards super materialistic worldly outcomes is the answer either. There's actually kind of a process you need to undergo to figure out what desires are worth desiring. Because the problem here is most of your desires, the things you want, you don't actually want them. You want to want them. And the funny thing about that is if you want to want something, it means you don't want that thing. So in order for you to figure out which things you don't actually want so you can stop LARPing and pursuing this delusion, you need to use some of that conscious energy to sit down, list out your desires, and do Socratic reasoning. Now, there's multiple ways you can do this. You can Google Socratic reasoning and find some questions, but for me, the best thing is just asking why around 5 times. Because by the time you get to the 5th why, you'll see the true reason for that desire, and then you can decide if it's worthwhile or not. I want to get a Ferrari. Why? Because it'll look really cool, it's really loud, it goes really fast. Okay, why do you want that? Because other people will realize I have such a cool car and they'll look at me. Well, why do you care about that? Because I'm actually really deeply insecure and the car is a manifestation of that. Okay, your desire probably shouldn't be the car, it should be to fix your self-image and not be as insecure. And then maybe down the line, when your reason is, because it's cool and I have a lot of money and I'll buy it. That's actually a better reason than insecurity. But once you understand that the issues stem from your subconscious, once you understand that you have desires that you want to work towards, what do you do? This realization took me far too long to have, but the answer is always action. Leverage your true desires and the conscious energy you have to take immediate actions in your life. Fuck this whole idea of being 1% better every single day. Don't get me wrong, you can start out with some easy buckets, get a layup before you shoot a 3, clean your room before you clean your life, because no matter what your desire is that you'll be pursuing, thinking about it, learning about it, talking to your friends about it, is never going to be a worthy time investment compared to just taking immediate actions and learning along the way. I know you're probably tired of hearing about stoicism. It's been so watered down by mainstream self-improvement content, but there's one core principle that if people would just do, it would remove so much of their mental suffering. And that is to completely turn away, pay no mind to things that are out of your control. And this is easier said than done because from a logical perspective, that makes sense. Yeah, I can't do anything about it. Why would I let it affect my mind? But in an emotional sense, I'm a victim. In my last video, I made a brief comment about the current economy and stated that people can still be successful in it And I was met with multiple comments stating that that is not true. The current economy is the reason why men can't succeed, men can't move out of their parents' house. And that's despite me saying in the video that there are more millionaires made in the Great Depression than any other era in history. And there are people that are more successful than you that started with less than you. But that doesn't matter to the commenters because what they really want is a reasoning beyond themselves, some kind of force in nature that is responsible for their lack of achievement. And thus when I took a shot at them, their ego defense mechanisms ramped up, they put up their walls and they typed in, no, actually, no, They're so gung-ho about defending the apparent reason for their shortcomings. But there is something else that I know that once I mention it, a lot of you are going to click off. And that is because we've talked about the subconscious, the conscious, but what is the superconscious? Well, for me, it is God. And thus, I think a vital aspect of avoiding your life sucking, of avoiding mental suffering, is some form of spirituality. When it comes to spirituality, it seems like there's a bit of a bell curve where, to put it nicely, people of lower wisdom, they do tend to be very religious and dogmatic about their religion because it's simply what their parents told them and what their grandparents told them, what their great-grandparents told them. And there is a large group of people that rightly so question authority, question the validity of these spiritual claims. It might even reach the conclusion that spirituality is a bunch of wooey mumbo-jumbo, all religions are lies, and nothing really matters, we're just on a big rock hurling through space. But even further, you return back to spirituality or belief in something higher than you. I've experienced this firsthand. I found that realigning myself with spirituality drastically enhanced all the other things I've talked about in this video. And while I'm not here to shove any specific beliefs down your throat, I hope that you believe in something. But how do you actually go about changing the programming, the subconscious, so that your unconscious actions reflect your conscious desires? The thing is about the subconscious is it doesn't know what's true and false. It doesn't know what's real and imagined. It doesn't know what's right and wrong. It is simply running off the code that is presented to it. And a lot of this code stems from the identity. The identity is what you truly believe about yourself deep down. Meaning that if you don't truly believe that you deserve these desires you have, the subconscious is going to make sure you do not get them. And this may all seem like a lot. It may have even felt like bad news, but this is actually the best news that we could possibly receive. Because if our struggles are self-inflicted, that means the solution is self-generated. Meaning we have the true power, autonomy, authority in our lives to make the changes that get us to the levels of freedom, of fulfillment, of achievement that we desire. If you're ready to take matters into your own hands and would like some further guidance, click the video on the screen right now where I explain how to reset your life in 3 to 9 days. But no matter what you're gonna pursue, if it's business, if it's self-development, but no matter what you're gonna pursue, it's poop, it's poo-poo, it's pee-pee poo-poo.